Cool. Okay, so welcome everyone to the sixth Coffee with the Copper. First, what I'm going to do is go over some just kind of housekeeping updates real quick, and then hand it over to Nick from West Texas A&M for the discussion. So first thing, I need all of you to fill out the contact info update form if you have not done so already. I only have 12 schools who have answered the update form, and I need that done. So if you could do that, the due date for that is December 21st. So if you have not done the update form yet, please make sure that you do. If you forget if you've done the form or not, just text me or email me and let me know, and I can let you know if you've done it. I'm started something new. I'm doing weekly updates using MailChimp now. Y'all should have gotten 2 weekly updates from me via MailChimp. If you have not received those, let me know. It might send it straight to like junk mail or something because it is from MailChimp instead of just the regular COPR email. So let me know. And if you have any thoughts or ideas about those, I know it's a new format. I like the format. I think it's a lot more organized. But if you don't like it or you have criticisms about it, please let me know. If it doesn't work for you, let me know. I've linked the business conference website in the minutes for y'all. Go check that out, start looking at it, and just make sure that your NCCs are looking at the registration for it, staying on top of all of that. If they have any questions, they can always go to Kaisha or go to the business conference staff directly. But just as presidents, kind of check on them, make sure that they're okay with everything and that they're on top of everything with that. Look for the social media challenges from the business conference staff. They do social media challenges, and those are worth spirit points. So look out for those. And then finally, we're going to be doing something new with this conference. We're going to be having passive programming, which is an idea that we got from Neokur. And so basically, I've just kind of quoted Isha Muhammad, one of the business conference co-chairs from the NCC chat yesterday, and what she said about what they're doing with passive programming. So she said that they're going to be creating a form for you to fill out, which is basically like an intent that you're going to do a passive program, just that they have a count of how many table space, like how much table space they're going to need. But what a passive program is going to be a trifold of a passive program, and we're going to create all sorts of like guidelines and a rubric of what to do. So don't freak out about that. It's something new that we're going to be trying. But more information will come on that. And there will be kind of like a first, second, third prize for it that is going to be worth spirit points as well. So as we get more information about the passive programming, I'll definitely let y'all know. But be thinking about that. It's definitely something y'all can do. And especially something to kind of like take something off of your NCCs, because they're going to be so busy with reading over legislation and looking at all of the bids that they're going to be voting on. If you're interested in doing a passive program for the conference, that could be something really cool to do for your university. The next thing, I've put the RBC, the business conference bidding timeline, in the minutes for you. The 2 things highlighted in red are the dates coming up most closely. January 5th is the date for award bid intents as well as RBD bid intents. So the forms for the intents are linked there in the minutes as well. If you're going to be doing an award bid, you have to do an intent for it. And if you're going to be bidding for an RBD position, you have to do the intent for that as well. Those are due by January 5th. So make sure you're getting those done. And Patrick is going to give y'all an update on some assessments that he's created.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so we have 3 assessments out that are in the minutes, I believe. We have the mid-year assessment, and that one is kind of seeing where we are as a region and how we are doing for you guys for resources, how we are with our strategic plan, and just a lot of other things. So if you can fill that out for us, just so we know, we can get a gauge of where we are as a region. We also have our RBD assessment that's out. That's just kind of evaluate the RBD members and see how we are doing as a board in any way so we can improve on that. And then lastly, we have our boardroom assessment as well. So if you went to the leadership conference, please fill that out just so we can see how the boardrooms are ran and see if we can do any improvements for the business conference coming up.
Thank you. And those are due December 31st, and they're worth 5 feather points for each assessment. So make sure that you're going through and you're doing those and giving us feedback on that so that we can continue to get better as a region. The next thing is 3-year service pins. So if you've been a part of SWCR, doing service with SWCR for 3 years, there is a service pin for that. So those are going to be due. It's a paperless form now. It used to be a paper form that you'd have to fill out, but now it's paperless. Yay. And those are due January 31st. And the link for that form to fill out is in the minutes. So with that form, you're going to have to put your advisor and NCC email addresses, because once you complete that form, an email will get sent to them to fill out a separate form for that. So make sure that you put in the correct email addresses for them. But also the NCCs that fill out the 3-year service award, 3-year service pins, they're going to be putting your email address. So be on the lookout for an email to fill out a form regarding your NCC's 3-year service pin form. Okay, and all of that, again, due January 31st. It's time again to fill out Boardroom Buddy forms for business conference, and the form is linked in the minutes. Those are going to close January 15th. So if you'd like to participate in Boardroom Buddies for the business conference, go fill out that form. But something else that I'm going to be doing is a president pairing system for business conference. So that's different than the Boardroom Buddies. But basically, once registration closes for the business conference, you're going to be, the presidents that are attending the business conference will be paired with another president so that y'all can support each other and motivate each other before, during, and after conference. So it's, again, just another kind of buddy system to be able to get through all of the stressors with conference season. I know that y'all have gone through leadership conference already. Imagine that stress, just kind of like taking it to the next level, because business conference is really intense. It's a lot of stuff. We have 5 bids that we're going to be voting on, as well as electing the new COPR. So it's a lot. So it is stressful. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite conferences. But having that, president that you're kind of a buddy with before, during, and after will definitely be a really good kind of crutch to lean on. So be looking out for that. Some new resources for you. So Kaisha created a RBD bidding cards for all of the RBD positions. So if you're interested in running for RBD, they're linked there in the minutes. You can look through those, and it basically has all of the essential information and duties and stuff like that for each RBD position. So look at that. And then Patrick has another update for finance officers.
All right. Most of RHAs or NRHA chapters in SWCR, we have finance officers for our board. So if you could have your finance officer for your RHA board fill out that form for us, we're basically going to be meeting like once a month, similar to presidents, and kind of just talking over finance stuff, such as like sponsorships, budgeting, fundraising, and all that fun stuff as well. So if you can get that filled out by the 31st, that would be greatly appreciated. All right.
Last few kind of things real quick. So the RBD is meeting for our retreat the 19th through the 21st. So that's next Monday through Wednesday. And we're going to be doing our site visit for the business conference. So it's going to be at Texas State, and we're going to see all of the rooms and facilities that we're going to use and kind of look those over. I'm really excited about it. So, and we're also going to be doing a lot of planning for the spring semester. If you have any specific questions or things that you'd like us to talk about, things that you'd like us to look for in the site visit, anything that you're expecting of me to do whenever we have the whole board together in person, please let me know. We want y'all to be as much a part of this process as we are. So if you have anything that something specific, a particular topic that you'd like us to discuss in the region, a particular question, let us know. And we will definitely make sure to do that for you. The directorship, so our director, ADAF and AD NRHH, The 3 of them will be going to the semi-annual business conference in January, and that's going to be at the NCUR host site, so at Purdue University in Indiana. And so they're going to do the host site visit there, as well as just a bunch of business, a lot of NCUR level legislation, as well as voting on Program of the Year. So if you have any questions about that, or again, anything that you'd like to be updated in regards to the NCUR semi-annual business conference, let me know. Lastly, we are going to be having a chat in January, the week of January 8th. So it was a bit too early for me to feel comfortable setting like all of the chat dates, but I still wanted to have at least a chat in early January because business conference is so early in February. I wanted to make sure that we had a chat early enough so I can give you all a lot of updates on the conference. We can have a really good discussion about the conference and answer any questions that you may have. So I'm doing a individual availability for that week for that particular chat. And then after that, I'll set all of the chat dates and times for the rest of the semester. So before the end of the year, before December 31st, go and fill in your availability for that week so that I can set a date and time for that chat. Okay, lots of updates for y'all. It's all in the minutes. All of the links and everything are in the minutes. Does anyone have any questions regarding all of the updates that were given? All right. All of this information, all the links and everything will be in my next weekly update, and a lot of the stuff, especially the links to the forms and things that you have to fill out and everything, will be in those weekly updates with MailChimp until they're due. So again, it's super important that you're looking at those and utilizing all of the links and everything in those. Okay. So now we're going to move into our discussion part of Coffee with the Copper. And this month, our topic is on accountability, compensation, and conflict management. We've already done a compensation survey, and I've sent out the results of that survey. If you would like to see those results again, you don't have them, you've lost them, whatever, I can always resend you the results to that survey. But we've Nick and I have come up with a list of questions to kind of spark some discussion and conversation about those topics. And to all of my friends visiting from the Central Atlantic, I want y'all to be just as much of this process as the SWCR presidents. So please, give your thoughts and your opinions. We're here to learn from each other, really. So definitely feel free to put X's in the chats for the questions and everything too. But I will hand it over to Nick.
All right, cool. So like Connor said, we have 5 questions that we're going to do. So I'll go through and say the question, and then I'll try and go in and put a line in the chat so you guys can put your X's in. And so our first question is, so how do you hold your officers accountable to their constitutional duties? So for instance, at WT, we have all of our officers, their duties are obviously, they're listed in our Constitution. And at the start of the year, during training, that's something that we go over together. We make sure that they know what all those duties are, what they need to do. And then it's also something that we try and review maybe midpoint through the year and to see if there's anything we think should be added, and give them feedback on how they're doing with those duties. So with that, I'll put a line and you guys just put an X in the chat. Okay, so Rick from Maryland.
Hi everyone, how's it going? So the one way that we keep our accountable is by having one-on-ones with our RHA presidents and with our advisors every month. So we look through everything they've been doing that month and whether or not they've been aligning with their constitutional requirements and the other things that have been asked of them. Yield.
Okay, cool. And then, so Baldwin Wallace University?
Hello. When we hope, so we do something similar to what your university does and make sure they're trained and they understand what their duties for the position that they have. But along with that, if we notice they're slipping with their duties, we will pull them aside, ask them what's going on. Do they need help from either general members within the body or other exec board members? And then if we still notice there are issues, we'll ask them if, how should I put this? If it's better for them to step down just for a little bit to catch up on what they need to catch up on. So then they can come back to the best ability for them to be in that position again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I think, one-on-ones too, I kind of liked that idea. I know that's not something that we do a lot here at WT, but something we can maybe do more of. Anyone else on that one? Okay. Then we'll move on to our second question. So the second question, and kind of following up to that first question as well. So how do you then hold them accountable as representatives of your organization or your department? So for instance, I know here at WT, we always make everyone aware at the start of the semester, you're RHA officers now, you represent more than just yourself. You represent, the department, you represent residential living and all of that. So kind of how do you guys go about doing that? Okay, Baldwin Wallace.
At Baldwin Wallace, when it comes to who's the representation for our organization and department, we keep that just with the RHA president and CC mostly. So they're essentially all the faces of our organization. While if we do notice a member is acting up and say something that has our logo or our name on it, we go to remind them, you are representing our organization either at this program or you're representing our organization by wearing our information and stuff. And we appreciate if you behaved in a way that shows maturity on this campus and willingness to be a part of this campus. Along with that, since our organization is directly under Res Life, we have two advisors and one of our advisors is director of Res Life, he also keeps us in check if he notices that we are misconducting ourselves in the res halls or on campus in general. He'll send out a little email saying, hey, this is happening with one of your members and something needs to get done, either a one-on-one chat with the other advisor or just a chat together just to figure out what is the issue and how we can solve it.
Yeah, we have kind of the same format here, so I can kind of relate to that as well. So anyone else on that question? Tesla, Tyler Junior College?
Exactly what you just agreed with, Harry. It's how it is for us. Because we're so small, we are also underneath, directly underneath the residential life and housing building. So with our one advisor, she's very strict on us whenever it comes to certain things. If people are messing up or it looks like they could be not doing what they need to be doing, I guess you could say easily. She'll stay on top of it and so alive. This past semester, a majority of RHA stayed in one hall, and so it was really easy for me, especially to see something that was going out of what we believe in and what we promote. And I like to stay on top as my friends and as officers in RHA. So. But I address the problems we have exactly how Wallace and West Texas did. So.
Okay, Cool. Okay, so on that note then, so our third question, so this one's, how does compensation play into holding your officers accountable? So for instance, I know here at WT, so we're paid, our room and board essentially is paid for as RHA officers. So there's kind of an understanding that, you know, you are being paid for this, and you know that pay is your room and board, so that's a pretty substantial pay, and it's given out in the form of a scholarship each semester. So at the start, you're given one part of the scholarship essentially, and the next semester the other part. So in the past, we haven't really had any issues with people, you know, getting to the point where someone has had to been forced to step down or anything like that. But you know, there is that expectation of you are being paid, and you know, this is a serious affair, and people know that. So yeah, on this one, I'm probably not going to put a line in the chat just because I'm on my phone, and doing that is actually becoming kind of difficult. But you can go and just put your X's in the chat now. Okay, Lorenzo, UCA.
So at UCA, we get a monthly stipend, and during training, we let it be known that if you don't do your duties or you get caught, you know, messing up, you will lose your stipend for that month. And if it continues, you will be asked to step down.
Okay. Also, that cat is super cute. Maryland?
We don't get paid at all. That's all.
Okay. And then let's see. So we have Baldwin Wallace University.
Sorry for speaking so much. We also don't get paid. However, so say within our residence halls, the president of the hall council decides I'm going to buy these supplies for a program with my cash. It is up to them to fill out the proper forms to get reimbursed and all of that. So if they don't do it in the proper amount of time, or they don't have the form with them for when they purchase these items, unfortunately they will be out of luck. So that's how we hold them to like the responsibility of, if you are going to do this, you need to keep up to date about your information on how you're planning your programming, who you're reporting this to, telling your hall director who is helping them. So example, last year I had to buy food for one of our hall council meetings, and I didn't have the form that night, but I was able to get the form the next night from Red's Life office to fill to get reimbursed, since that was one of my duties as the hall council representative there. So that's how we keep our members accountable, if that makes sense.
Okay. Alexandra Adams from UD. I hope that's right.
Yeah, that's right. So we don't get paid either at UG, and actually I had mentioned that to my e-board that other people get paid, and they're like, wow, we do a lot of work for no pay. But I think it's funny because we do get swag. I don't know how many other schools, if you're RSA pays, we get swag, but we usually get like $60 swag per person, either buy like a jacket or a backpack. So $40 to $60 depending on our budget that year. So I think that's also like a cool little incentive. And if you leave your position, you usually leave your swag for the next person. So it's interesting.
Okay, so anyone else on that question? Okay, fourth question. So this one is, oh wait, Connor. We have Connor.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say real quick, for any of the schools who don't get compensated, if you're looking to get compensated, even with COPR, I can send that compensation results, the survey that I did, to Emily, and she can give that to y'all. What we did with it in SWCR is the schools that aren't getting compensated, they're using the results of that to take to their, I guess, departments to say, look, like these other schools get compensated in these different ways. Can we do this? Can we do that? So if y'all want that, and you can say like, this school's doing this school's doing that, this school's doing that. The results of that, I guess, survey kind of outline what schools in SWCR are doing. And that is really what housing departments are looking for. They're looking for what are other schools doing and how can we kind of fit into that zone. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say.
Awesome, thanks. So Tyler Junior College again?
Okay, going off of what Connor said. Okay, so we don't, at TJC, we don't get compensated. And it was a conversation we had, or that I had with my advisor actually right after SWCR, I think in the car on our way back. And she said that a couple things that we wouldn't, there's just that certain things that we can't do because we're so small. And since at a 2-year college, it's hard to compensate because some people aren't in it for as long as most schools. And you kind of see that a lot of people aren't dedicated, and where our numbers are usually, like the people in RHA are usually just the officers. We might have a couple of people outside of our officers, but it's not much. And so at Residential Life and Housing, everything we do goes through them. We don't have our own anything. And so whenever it goes through Miss Diana, our director, she's like, yeah, we can do this, but we can't, there's no compensation. That our advisor has said that they've looked into even paying for meal plans at least, and it's just hard because not, like I said, people aren't dedicated as much, and at a 2-year school, it's hard to see who is and who's gonna actually stick in it for another year. And it's just, that's it. But if I was a 4-year, it'd be great to be compensated. Just saying.
Okay. So we're gonna move on to question number 4. And this one is, so what is a conflict that your RHA has encountered already, and how did you resolve it? So I know an example of this from WT, for instance, we had a conflict last year where we had an officer that was really just kind of disappeared around the time of an event, and the event was not doing well. And there was, it was an event with around $1,000, $1,500 budget. So we were kind of concerned about that event since we didn't know what was going on. But eventually, luckily that officer came to me, and I was actually vice president at the time, and I was able to actually help him help fix what was going on with the event. So it did still happen and things were okay, but it kind of suffered a bit because he didn't come to us sooner. So we kind of did have to have a discussion with him about that afterwards with like officer duties, because he was missing meetings and that happened. But in the end, we ended up just having a conversation and things improved. But, you know, that was kind of a potential conflict that popped up that we got through. But yeah, just go ahead and put an X in the chat now. Okay, Baldwin Wallace.
So I have 2 different situations. My first situation happened my freshman year when I first joined RHA. So we have at least 4 annual events, and one of our bigger ones is in spring semester called the Chili Challenge, where we bring both faculty and staff and students. They face each other. It's a way to build community and stuff. Our president disappeared for almost a whole month without telling us, not telling our advisors, the general board or exec board, and we're just like, what are we gonna do? So the day of the event, me and another member helped set up the event with the map plan from from the previous year. And then we had set up everything. So the president did come back that evening late, but she did come back and informed us, oh, she had to step away for a minute. But luckily the event did go well. So yeah. And then the other issue was this year, so my work schedule had to change. So I can't attend meetings, well, the general body meetings at least. So what I did, me and my one of two advisors, who's the main advisor for RHA, worked together with another exec board member. So they would present the meetings, but I would type up the agendas, send it to them so they can forward it to the printer to get it printed off for the general body members. And then the students after the meeting could come to me at my job and to discuss what was happening more in depth, so then they knew here's what's happening in the region, and then here's what's happening on campus. Sorry if that was a long answer.
That's okay. Lorenzo, UCA?
We recently had an issue with our NCC where at one of the conferences, the person made some very rude comments, and it kind of started some major conflict in our delegation. So me and my advisor, we got together and we individually met with each one of the delegates and kind of talked to them and let them know that the views of our NCC weren't the views of the RHA as a whole. And then I went and I had a conversation with the NCC to see if things get any better. And they didn't, and my advisor had to talk to them. But the conflict did get resolved and everything got worked out in the end.
I'm glad you guys worked that out. That's a tough scenario. So Brittany?
So recently we've had problems with like our special events coordinator. And so like I had individually had every other person on my EC come to me and like a different kind of issue throughout the semester. And so I was like, okay, I guess we all need to like sit down and see if it's like she just needs extra help or really kind of like what she needed. And it was at that point when we confronted her that she was like, yeah, no, I just kind of want to quit. And so this was also leading up into an event that we were doing. I mean, she ended up quitting, but we were able to like still do our event. It just kind of sucked that she waited until we brought it up to her to tell us that she wasn't interested in being in her position anymore, rather than like as soon as she found out or like made the decision, like coming and talking to us. But yeah.
Tyler Junior College?
Oh, sorry. I'm drinking hot chocolate. It's hot. Back to what I was going to say. Okay. So we had two problems, I guess you could say, like little conflicts with two of our exec members, or exec board officers. And it was like one of them was our student senate. I don't remember what most of y'all have called y'all's, but our student senate representative, whenever she had missed a couple of our student senate meetings. And, you know, if we don't go to those, then we don't get recognized as an organization. And some things were, like, sometimes she would just have an excuse. Sometimes she would have class conflicts, like she was taking a quiz and it ran after, and little things like that. And some of them were forgivable. Like, you can forgive somebody for having to finish your quiz before going to a meeting, but some of them just forgetting whenever it's once a week, every week on the same day, same time, you don't forget something like that. And something we had to do with her is just sit her down a lot, have a lot of one-on-ones. Me and my advisor had conversations with her as well. We eventually got it figured out, and then she's not gonna, if she continues to do that into next semester, then she will have to step down. Another conflict I've had was with one of my other exec members. She was a treasurer, but her major is design and stuff, web design. And so she, in the beginning semester, she was like, "Oh yeah, I can still make the flyers, and I want to be a part of that because that's what she wants to do in her future." And we're like, "Yeah, of course, you would like to help, and you would like to take that on yourself. Sure, go ahead and do that." But she slowly but surely, we started seeing that she wasn't interested in it, and we also bring it to her attention that if you're gonna raise your hand and you're gonna say that you want to do these things, you need to commit to what you say you're gonna do. And with one-on-ones and everything, we got that worked out. And several times things like flyers and things would be due and she wouldn't have done them. Before soccer, before the conference, we had the banner. She did the banner very close to the date that we needed it to, and we were trying to get it done early and all of our stuff done early, and she was just like falling behind. And several times I would have to tell her that if this is something you don't want to do or that you can't do because of time conflicts with whatever else, let me know. And we got things situated, and she's no longer going to do the flyers. She's just going to stick with the money being our treasurer. So we just talking to them. That's how we fix our problems. That's it. Yeah, you.
So just to add one last personal note, yeah, I can kind of speak to that too here as far as talking to them. Just on a lighter note though, so our NCC this semester actually missed the last RHA meeting of the semester by accident because his alarm didn't go off. And it was a complete accident, and we still give him a hard time about it to this day. But you know, sometimes things like that can happen. But in the past, we have had like other exec members that we've actually had to like bring in an advisor before. Like I know some of you guys have mentioned to actually help with that, but you know, not that bad. So that's it for that question. So we have one last question. This is the fifth one. And so this one deals with, so how would you handle a conflict with a hall council member versus an exec member versus an advisor? So this is kind of handling conflicts with different groups. You'd obviously approach it differently. I know here, for instance, we do our general meetings are mandatory. So for instance, like with our general members, we do take roll, and our vice president of internal affairs, that is his job. So if there's a conflict that comes up with them missing meetings, that would be more handled by, you know, informing the coordinator of the hall, talking to them, and, you know, if it comes down to it, putting their membership up to review for their hall's council to determine if they want to reelect for that person or not, if they're just pretty much kind of disappeared and not doing their job anymore. And for instance, with execs, other exec members, it'd be a little bit different. I know in the past we've like talked to an advisor or talked to them personally. Luckily this year, I think the exec board has been great, and we haven't had any issues with our other exec board members. So that's good. And we haven't really, that I know of in my experience, we haven't dealt with any advisor conflicts. So I'm not sure if I really have a lot of experience with that one personally. But yeah, so whoever, just go ahead, the next in chat. Alexandra Adams.
Hi, so we have our RSA, and then we have 9 complex community councils underneath our RSA, and each complex community council has their own exec board and their own advisor from ResLife. So we see a lot of, because each RSA e-board member pairs up with a complex community council. So I know that was a lot, but we see a lot of problems between the community council member and their ResLife advisor, whether they're like not getting across what they want, or the advisor is not letting them do what RSA says they can do. So that's when we have to take a step back and not of course, at any time badmouth the advisor, but rather be able to talk with the students through what their disgruntledness is, because sometimes it is the advisor, but you can't just outright say they suck. And being able to talk it through, like, what's happening, what we can do with the situation. I know one time an advisor just wasn't making reservations for them or answering their emails in promptly time. So we had we had to review advisors' expectations with the C-Cube. So it's sort of awkward as an RSAE board member to go in there and have to talk to an advisor about expectations, but it also helps to work with C-Cube expectations as well for their advisor. So that's my experience.
Lorenzo, UCA.
So for our house council, each exec board member, because we have 15 halls, we each kind of split the halls up amongst ourselves and kind of like oversee them. And if it was a conflict that was going on in my area, I would handle that with either that hall's advisor, or I would just handle it just me and them. And then for exec board, I would really go talk to my advisor just to make sure that I'm handling it the right way and not kind of stepping on somebody, stepping boundaries where I really shouldn't. And then as far as my advisor, I'll email them first, let them know that I have a conflict with them and that I would like to set up a meeting where we can sit down with the housing director that we're under. So then that way, there's kind of like a third party there to make sure things don't get out of hand or nobody's feelings get hurt in the process.
Let's see. Baldwin Wallace.
We just had to do a conflict about that. So we had an exec board member tell the president of one of our Ohio council's members that she cannot try and run for exec board position in spring semester. Yeah, it was interesting because she said the fact that she has seniority and she's been in the organization a little bit longer, that she shouldn't, that this person can't run. And I had to help the hall council member and then also communicate with my advisor, okay, how should I handle this to make sure that this is an even playing ground for everybody, essentially. So what we did, we talked to both people, and now we have them both training under me, since I'm both NCC and RHA president, to see, because that was the issue, RHA president. So they're training under me to see who fits a position better, and we're also taking into account of schedules for next semester and how they've been working this semester with new members who have came in, along with their duties in hall councils, and how they present themselves to the campus as a whole, because we want to make sure we're picking the best people for our exec board members, since they are going to be the face of our organization, essentially. And other than that, we're pretty good.
So anyone else on that last question? All right, well, that's the last question. So I guess I'll pass it back over to Connor now.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nick, for being able to moderate that discussion for me. Just some final thoughts on that. I think that this particular topic and these conversations that we had are very, very important, especially as we kind of take a break for winter and then come back into the spring. It's so important to kind of reevaluate expectations. And if you're having a spring exec board training or something like that, which I strongly suggest you do, it could just be like a day, not necessarily as intense as fall, but go back and kind of revisit the expectations, revisit the positional duties that everyone has. If you had problems in the fall, or you were noticing some maybe poor tendencies of exec board members in the fall, address those now before they become big problems in the spring. one of the best things to do with, I guess, conflict resolution is just open, honest communication. And all of you know, all of my school career presidents know that open, honest communication is a big thing with me. And I really do think that it is the best way to avoid conflicts, but then also to handle conflict resolution. Being honest with the person, letting them know what exactly they're doing that isn't meeting expectations and what they could do better to meet those expectations better is always important. Maybe just like some tips with conflict resolution, always keep it, I guess, neutral and keep it about the individual's actions and not the individual themselves. You always want to make sure that you're critiquing actions or lack thereof as opposed to the individual, because once you start attacking the individual, then it becomes personal and it goes downhill really fast. But if you're critiquing their actions and saying, this is what you're doing and this is what you could do to better meet expectations, then it becomes a lot more productive, basically. Just in the end, they're able to see kind of where they were going wrong and how they can do better. And pointing out that at the end of the day, everyone has the same goals. You all want your organization to do well. No one joins an organization wanting it to fail. If they're starting to kind of get a blah feeling about RHA, maybe they're not as into it, maybe having the conversation of, reevaluating expectations. Maybe they were expecting it to be something different, and so they just need to reevaluate their own expectations. But also reevaluating, is this the right organization for them? Maybe it's not. And so having the conversation of potentially, stepping down for the betterment of themselves and the betterment of the organization is a conversation that should be had. So don't be afraid of those conversations. If you are one who doesn't necessarily like conflict, like I really do not like conflict. I am very much an avoider whenever it comes to conflict. Seek the help of your advisor, or if your advisor isn't necessarily someone that has a lot of experience with conflict resolution, or maybe the conflict is with the advisor themselves, seek some help from a mentor or someone else in the department who might be able to help you out. I think it was Lorenzo who mentioned that if he has a problem with his advisor, he goes to someone else in the department to still be like that third party to moderate. That's super beneficial, especially if you're kind of nervous about having that conversation. Having a third party to help keep like an outside perspective on things really does help. So I do, and I'm going to email you all this, I do have an assessment. Y'all know me, I love my assessments. It's a conflict management style assessment. So it's from University of Massachusetts Amherst, and they basically identified 5 different styles of how people manage conflict. And the assessment is a series of 12 situations where you go through and you rank all of the situations on like, it gives results on like how to handle that situation. And you rank the, I guess, results of how you would handle it in order of like how you would most likely handle it to how you would least likely handle the situation. And all of those results that you tally up end up showing how you most prefer to handle a conflict versus how you least prefer to handle a conflict. I've done that assessment with exec boards before, and it's really beneficial to start a conversation of, first of all, seeing how different people in your exec board handle conflict differently, because different people do approach conflict differently. Some people really try to avoid conflict. Other people really want to just address an issue head on, and they're going to be a lot more forceful than other people about it. So realizing who on your exec board handles conflict and how they handle it, and then getting to a point where y'all can understand, okay, if I enter into conflict with this individual, well, that's how they prefer to address conflict. So maybe I can approach it in this particular way versus another way. So all of that really helps with conflict management. Straight up asking your exec board, like to answer the question, how do you prefer to like be addressed whenever you're not meeting expectations? So before, their conflict even occurs, knowing how that person likes to be addressed about it will end up making that conversation easier. So all of those sorts of things are really good to, help make your potential conflict resolution talks with individuals go a lot more smoothly. And if you'd like to talk some more about that, I can definitely help. There's been presidents in the past, y'all know I've been doing this since last January, and I've had presidents who've come to me with situations that maybe they didn't quite know how to approach, and I was able to just give some thoughts and some advice on it. And sometimes I say, you know, I really just can't help. You might want to talk to your advisor about that. But even if it's just a listening ear, I can be that for you. So if anyone has any questions about that, let me know. And for my COPR people, I will definitely send the assessment as well as the compensation survey results to Emily. And she said that she'll send that out to y'all. So I'll definitely get that to you. So now to end the coffee with the COPR, does anyone have any general thoughts or questions or anything at all for open forum? Yeah, Rick?
So at COPR, we have something called Cougar Compliments, where we recognize people who have done like a cool thing during a chat. So I would like to give a Cougar compliment to Nick for leading such an engaging discussion. Yield.
Continuing that, I'd like to give a Cougar compliment to Swugher for having us today. Late notice, but Rick and I both texted each other, of course, and we're like, let's do it. So thank you so much. It was a great time.
Thank you very much. It's definitely appreciated. I'm glad y'all were able to come. Baldwin Wallace?
On the same boat, cool compliments to all y'all who came. Well, I don't know if you're on winter break yet, but if you are, cool compliments to y'all for coming to the meeting while on winter break.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for all who came, especially if you're on break, but more especially if it's in the middle of your finals week. I really do apologize, but thank you for coming anyway. And I'm sure that's why a lot of people couldn't be here, is because some people are on break, some people are in the midst of finals, so it's really a busy time. But I did record all of this, and I do upload all of the chats to my YouTube page, so people can definitely watch the recording afterwards. All right. Well, I will stay on for a little bit. For all of my SWCR presidents, we do have our kind of like semester review chat after this. And so I will end the chat, dismiss everyone. But if you're in SWCR and you can stay on, please stay on as we kind of talk about our semester and all the accomplishments that we've had and what we're looking forward to for next semester as well. But thank you all for coming. That's the end of the Coffee with the COPR.